Howdy boys, Paul here with you today. Figured I'd share why do I expect the Ford Gens to last 500,000, or where am I coming up with that number? I've noticed guys after 300,000 they're starting to get surprised. Oh, you haven't done this, you haven't done that on the truck. Here, let me change it up a little bit. And the bottom line is maintenance, service, take care of your equipment. Not only do you need to take care of it on the maintenance side, you also need to drive it properly, understanding when you could really lay into it and other times where you really need to take it easy. A couple neglected topics, or I should say topic, is cool off. A little bit of warming up, but most biggest ignored or topic that people get surprised is cooling off their engines. Hold on a second, guys. Cooling off their engines your engine's very important. You know, rule of thumb, if it's chilly out like it is right now, you know, give it a couple minutes after you pulled in, let it run. You know, if you've pulled some extreme hill and you pull that hill and you pull into a rest area, do not shut off your truck, no matter the fact that it's so cold out. You know, your internals are pretty toasty, and you're not running that engine, not moving that oil, not moving that coolant. You're frying things, and most often the first thing to go is your turbo. So, you know, on a cool day, couple minutes. On a warmer day, let's say 40 to 60 degree ambient temperature being 40 to 60, you know, give it about 5 minutes. And then once you start getting into the 75, 80 degrees, you really got to let that truck idle if you've been pulling with it for, you know, a good 15 minutes. That's very important. Obviously, warm up is also important. Get yourself somewhat warm before you start moving. And definitely make sure you're fully operational as far as the temp gauges go before you start laying into it and hauling tail. You know, when it's chilly, it's like you know, when you're cold, you really don't want to move. Don't make your truck move or work too hard. I don't want to go too much detail into that, but keep that in mind. It's very important. As far as oil servicing, I do oil changes every 15 to 20,000 on my trucks. Works well. I've done lab tests or oil analysis testing. Labs have done that stuff for me, and they, you know, they always come positive. They're always telling me to try to push it a little further. The reason I don't naturally push it forward, the reason I don't push further is because I like to see an oil change between 15 and 18, but they get a little hung up on the road. You know, you'll see 20, 22, not so acceptable. We had an oil change at 27. There was a team in the truck, and they just hauled tail, and I mean, that oil really got used, and it's not the end of the world. The oil did look pretty tired. We sent it into the lab, so we should be getting it any day now. See what we got there. And, you know, told the guy, he told us to keep pushing it, so we pushed it. That was not intentional, obviously, but I'd much rather get an oil change done a little later, like with higher mileage, than have someone touch my truck. So, as far as oil change intervals go, I'd shoot for 15 to 20. I really like to see 15, 18, but sometimes they get hung up. I'm repeating myself. As far as product itself, I use Schaefer's, guys. It's a higher tier oil. I really like it. It's not the best stuff on earth, and it's not gold, but it's definitely solid oil. It's good oil. I have nothing but good things to say. It's the best oil known. What I'm trying to say, you know, I believe AMSOIL, Schaefer's, Redline, Royal Purple, they're right about, all right about in that ballpark. You know, you can't compare them to Dello or Rotella or anything like that. You know, it's a lower grade oil, and if you don't use your truck hard, there's really no financial reason or no real reason to use that top end oil and really expensive oil. It's guys like us that work their trucks and they really push their trucks that they need that high end oil. So, time and place for everything. If you work your truck pretty hard, you know, don't be cheap. Buy that higher end oil, more expensive oil, and make her happen. Why do I shoot for 15 to 20,000 mile interval? It works for me. You know, it turns out to be about an oil change every month and a half. You know, some trucks it's not an issue. We could do oil changes every 10,000 miles, but for the most part, trucks leave a month at a time. month and a half at times. So, they get hung up on the road. So, rule of thumb, 15 to 18, but generally see them done between 15 and 20. Temperatures or weather conditions, temperatures like now, guys idle the trucks more to stay warmer, and obvious reasons. I'm more leaning towards the 12 to 15. Does not mean in the summer I won't change it at 12, but right now being winter, I'm more more leaning towards, that 12 to 15 with that oil being idled more, because you got to take in consideration your idle time as well on that oil. It's not just the mileage. Anyways, as far as the train, I said powertrain. I expect the powertrain to go 500,000. That's why I'm going down the list. So the transmission, we used to do 50 to 60. We did fluid and filters. Now we're shooting for 40 to 50. Just so when they get hung up a little bit, they come in at 60, 70 at worst. So that's mine. I just use OEM specified, the Mobile 3309s, I believe. That's the oil for the aisin transmission. It's just a mobile transmission fluid. That's it. That's all there is. Use common sense. Don't gun your trucks off the line. It really tears the transmission and the rest of the powertrain a new one. That off the line stuff. When you're on a roll, you really got to roll and say go for it. But off the line, man, that tranny is just being burnt up pretty hard. Being an aisin, it does lock up a lot sooner than the Chryslers, but this is just generally speaking, Chevys, Ford, Rams, take it easy off the line, guys. You're tearing it a new one off the line. It's a slush box after all, burning them clutches off. That's it. That's all I do for transmission. As far as U-joints, guys, I'm very impressed with the U-joints that come on the Ram trucks. It also states the fact that they're not overworked, and they're definitely stout U-joints. My 500,000 mile truck, original U-joints. There's no play in them. There's nothing really. There's no reason to change them out. I think we're starting to feel a little bit of spline wear on the driveline. I believe there's a little bit of wear there. Really, there's nothing scary. The 500,000 mile truck, I want to put a new turbo in it. Does not need one. It does need new injectors. They're getting a little sloppy at 500,000. Yes, they are OEM injectors, and yes, the turbo's OEM, not the actuator, but the actual turbo itself is OEM. So I think 500,000, it's well worth. I'll just buy a whole assembly on the drive line. It goes from the transfer case to the rear, the rear axle. I think we should just do the whole carrier bearing U-joints in there, and it doesn't need one, but I think 500,000, just a peace of mind kind of deal. Turbo, I'm repeating myself, and injectors are probably the three things I'm gonna do: driveline assembly, turbo, and injectors. 500,000. No, it does not need it as far as it's falling apart, but as far as Paul's peace of mind, I am impressed, and I'm very happy with that mileage. So yeah, as far as the rear end itself, because I did say powertrain 500,000, as far as the rear end itself, we are seeing wear on the rear end. I mean, I don't know how much more life it has left in it. It is not whining, squealing, leaking. It is not. But you could tell when you pull that rear diff cover, you're starting to see more shavings in there. And for one dude, shavings is chunks of metal, and for me, it's just, I drain the oil and I put a light to that oil, and I could see a little bit of sparkles in there. And it's normal wear and tear for a rear end, but the 500,000 mile truck does have more metal particles in the oil than the lower mileage ones. I'm not going to share yet because I don't know what the results are going to be, but I am trying to tinker with some additives and see what I get out of them. I love that kind of stuff. That's what makes me really happy, is experimenting. Really, it's probably what makes it the most entertaining for me on these pickups. I get to experiment with oil additives and all that shebang. So I gave you the engine, the transmission, the rundown, what I do to them, and what's up, And I believe I gave you the reasons why I expect 500,000 out of them. at 480 or 470. I think it was 470. I was looking at that rear diff when my guys are servicing it. That's when I noticed the shavings in the oil more than usual. Really fine shavings, nothing big, but still, it's there. You know, as far as the transmission, if it just shifts flawlessly, no hiccups, no signs of slippage or anything. It just works well. You know, as far as the engine, it's not burning any more or less oil than the other trucks. As I've said, you work the truck hard. Well, actually, I didn't include it in this video. You know, you work the truck hard, you'll see about a quart every 1,000 miles, and that is nothing in my book. You're working that truck. You know, just there's all the indication that everything's good, and then when we do lab testing, you know, we've done the engine. Guys are saying, hey, this engine's healthy. When we did the transmission service, I need to recall and look up the scores or whatever, the test results. But I think we did a transmission at 60, and it showed really good, 60,000 interval, but I don't remember what transmission it was. I can't say it was this one or not this one. I don't know. But as far as the feel of the transmission and shifts, the firmness of the shifts, they're all solid, you know, at that high mileage. So that's my reasoning. You know, I believe it's logic, it's experience, and common sense. I expect 500,000, but I'm shooting for $1 million. And it's weird, you know. I was asking myself, Paul, why are you so cheap? And it has nothing to do with it. It fascinates me. It awes me, the fact that I could take good care of a piece of equipment, invest the money in good products, and see the return. It really makes me happy. You know, financially, obviously, it makes me happy too. But most importantly, you know, you buy yourself $40,000-$50,000 truck, and you get something out of it. Unlike other brands, you know, they go kaboom at 200, 300. You know, obviously, one of the most important things is to take care of your equipment. But the truck that I'm referring to, you know, at 470, guys, there's some sad stories with that truck. Like, there's a specific driver, he's a legend, and my boys know who I'm referring to. I mean, he drove till the calipers flew off that truck. I mean, he wore out the pads, you know, grenaded the caliper, and all of a sudden the truck's a pile of junk, according to him. It's just careless, you know, careless. And then what it took is for me to get a video. Like, it's sad. I got a video of that driver drag racing another dude with my work truck. Dropped the trailer off, and it was so sad. It's like, dude, like, it is your tool. This is how you make your money for your family. And yeah, just... So no, the truck didn't have a very easy life. It wasn't one driver the whole 500,000. I'm drawing a blank. Who's driving it right now? Oh, there's a country fella, not country, farm boy, driving it. He's doing a very good job, man. You know, I sat in his truck about a week ago. It was very fresh and clean inside, and that makes me happy, you know. The way a man keeps his truck inside tells me a lot about him. A work truck's a work truck. They get dirty. I get that. But there's dirty, and then there's filthy, and then there's like a pig pen kind of deal. So that's what I'm referring to. And Kenny, if you're watching this, thank you, brother. You're doing a fabulous job keeping that thing clean. Yeah, that's it, man. I'm going to wrap this video. Holy smokes, it's almost 14 minutes. Alrighty, boys. As always, may the Lord bless you. And have a mighty fine day. And guess what? I just realized I never told you what oil I used on the rear axle. I use Schaefer's. My regulars know I'm big on Schaefer's. And if you're new to the channel, well, you should probably stick around, become a regular. You'll be entertained by some of the stories I share. And some of them you just got to shut down because it has nothing to do with you. Anyways, boys, God bless y'all. Ciao. Bye.